I'm Zell from the upcoming Lovely to Speak to You. Congratulations on this fantastic film. So could you give us a little background to why you wanted to tell the story of this amazing entrepreneurial woman?
Absolutely. I mean, I was unfamiliar with Whitney's story before I came to this project, and realizing how she sort of took all this difficulty and all this trauma and forged it into this, her hugest success. It felt really cinematic to me. And also in her story, being a woman in sort of this male-dominated field, I just really recognized some tough parts about that, both in terms of how you're treated, but also how you feel like you have to behave. And that was really what I was excited to explore, was that tension between if you play into the culture and sort of play into the boys club, it's a little bit easier to have success, but then you're sort of selling out yourself a little bit. And so navigating that and coming to a place of sort of figuring out a way to behave that you feel good about can be a little bit of a journey. And so, I really connected to that about Whitney's story.
She stayed true to who she was, actually. I think you did a really lovely job of doing that. So what was that collaboration like for you?
Well, I have known Rachel now for 20 years. And so, it felt both natural, but every single project is totally different. And this one felt so big in its scope, partially because it's something that has touched everyone we know. Everyone has Tinder or Bumble or some dating app. It's so ubiquitous, and yet I had no idea about this story. I didn't know how these companies were formed or all of the intrigue and, backdoor drama there. And so, once we started digging in, we were like, this is a story.
Can you tell us a little bit about the casting process? I mean, obviously, Lily James, and also in the seat as a producer as well. What was that like, working with her and collaborating and choosing such an amazing cast?
I mean, yes, I will pat myself on the back for getting to work with Lily James. It's amazing. I mean, she's so dedicated. We really connected over our kind of deep passion and feeling a real responsibility to tell a real person's story. And so she worked so hard. She came, as we were in prep, she was doing a lot of the same research I had done. She was reading all the interviews. She was watching every video of Whitney she could find. She was really, trying to take on not only her mannerisms, but also sort of understand her as a person. And so she brought all of that to the performance. So, she had such a deep well of prep that she had done that was really just us getting to shape the performance together from there and sort of shape it scene to scene for the film.
Somehow, on top of all of that, doing an American accent the entire time, which, as Rachel could tell you, I can do no accents. So the fact that she's producing this film, starring in this film, getting Whitney the person down perfectly while doing an American accent, I really don't fully understand how a brain operates like that. But I mean, as you can see, it does.
That's an amazing job. And obviously, I know it's not a biopic, but did you have a chance to get any sort of direct contact with Whitney herself, so you brought a little bit of authenticity, or did you just rely on what was out there?
So there were legal issues that prevented us from being directly in touch with her. So we took on this responsibility of reading everything we could possibly find. We watched every interview. We've read every article. We went poured over the court documents. We even stalked everyone's old social media, found old vines from this time that were archived. It was a really deep research process so that, obviously we're telling our interpretation of the story, but we wanted it to be founded in as much information as possible.
And how does it feel, sort of the dating world and how AI will affect it, and the journey that she went on to make a platform so much more accessible and safe for women?
First of all, you're talking to two people who have been in very long-term relationships for a long time. So that question is probably not my perfect one to answer. But yeah, it's interesting. Nothing stays the same. And as we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, it's completely changed the way people date. And there's no reason to believe it won't completely change again in the next 15. But, I'll leave that to Silicon Valley to figure out.
But to your point, it was interesting to go back and remember the time in 2012 when dating apps were uncool. We had to sort of transport yourself to oh yeah, I remember it was just someone's weird aunt was on the date. It wasn't even an app, it was a website. It was someone's weird aunt was on one of these sites, but there wasn't any sort of young people on it. It was it was considered a sort of a taboo to be on this dating app, and it really, it switched so quickly.
Lassie, what do you hope that viewers will take away from watching this?
I think that we deal with a lot of complex issues around culture and complicity and sort of misogyny. And so if we can just spark conversation around that, I think that would be best case scenario.
Absolutely. I think this film plays with a lot of themes and a lot of machinations of how not just the tech industry works, but how any sort of workplace works and how people treat each other and how culture is something that affects everyone. And so, yeah, hopefully you walk away from this movie starting to have those conversations and thinking about your own situation.
So guys, thank you so much for speaking to me. Enjoy your European premiere this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.